And then there was the color blue. Blue was not just color chosen, but it was symbolic of the heavens. And every now and then when you come in, you ought to think blue. Because contrary to popular belief, making the church your objective is shooting too low. In other words, I'm saying that since blue signifies heaven, it ought to let us know what our real goal is. That I didn't just to come to church. It would be a shame, I tell you, to spend all your days in the pews of the church and never catch the ride to heaven. I mean, be there to knock on the door and him say, "Depart from me. I never knew you." The blue signifies then that heaven must be our goal. That's why you can't let people with low aim dictate to you where you go. Some folk just happy to be on the pew. But I'm trying to make heaven my home. Anything short than that, the songwriter said 99 and a half just won't do. Well, then there was a third color. Oh God. The third color was a color of regalness, royalty, color purple. I've discovered that colors have a lot to do with how you think about yourself. The restaurant business studies colors. Can I help somebody? The cheaper the restaurant, the brighter the colors. Okay, y'all missed the mistake. McDonald's got all them loud colors because they in the fast food business. They don't want you to feel it at home. It's already done when you got there. But here's another indicator. If you happen to be taking your boo out to dinner and you come in and you need a flashlight to look at the menu, somebody say D, because you're going to have to reach deep in your pocket. Because they're not trying to make their money fast. Come on in and sit a while. Colors have everything to do with it. And wait a minute, why am I going here? Because I believe some of us need to see the color you're sitting on. When we come in here and all we talking about we broke, look at the color you're sitting on. You need to at least believe what God is showing you. That you're not just where you came from. No, you're going somewhere else. And God has said, you are a royal people. Chosen generation. That if you are connected to the King, that makes you royalty. Tell somebody that means you're somebody. I don't know, but I'm tired of church folk acting like they nobodies. When you understand that if you've been bought by the blood and you are a part of God's family, that makes you somebody. No, you may not be able to preach like Paul or to sing like Silas. You may not be able to pray like Deacon DeJeanette, but you are somebody. Preach McAdoo. Here it is, here it is. The text says that the veil reflected color. And I think the color was significant because what it did, as we noticed the color, acknowledged the color, it changed or began to change our assessment about ourselves. Some of us have missed the idea, missed the concept that whenever we come into God's presence, that's privilege. That's one of the reasons why you ought to get your shout on just when you make it in. is because he didn't have to show up. God is not so hungry for worshipers that he's just going to take any kind of thing. And so I looked at this thing and I began to think about the purpose of the veil, Deacon Hall. And since the veil on the inside was to warn us to make sure that we took precautions before we went into the Holy of Holies, maybe we need to think about the veil on the outside. Because when the first veil was rent, I saw no text that suggested that the second veil was rent. Oh, can I go somewhere? I believe that one of the reasons why we continue to have perpetual worship service where it seems that we go in empty, leave out empty, is because we don't recognize that there must be some preparation before we come through the veil. Because if you don't come through the veil right, you miss the advantage of access. Oh, let me go here. The first veil, or the inner veil, was red. But I want to argue that the first veil is still there. The veil is an instrument for concealing, covering, or keeping shut the idea of a place of access. And I want to suggest that this veil did some things for us. Number one, since the Israelites did not have church when they got in church, but they began church on their way to church, it gave them a visual point that they had arrived. Oh, y'all don't catch me. Let me see. See, it's hard to get your praise on when Power 99 drove you up in the lot. The Israelites knew that in order to get the benefits of being in his presence, that they had to make themselves ready to receive his presence. See, God's presence is no joke. It's so powerful that when Moses was talking to God and he told God, hey, look, I don't mind leading the people, but please let me see you. God said, all right, then I'll come by, but I put you in the cleft of the rock, put my hand over your face, and pass my backside in front of you. Because if you were to catch me fully, you couldn't stand being in my presence. Oh, I got some folk in here say, oh, well, that was Moses. Well, Moses had some of them kind of folk. And they say, well, Moses, we're getting tired of you telling us what God said. Tell you what, you ain't nothing. Let God speak to us for himself. Moses was told by God, don't get offended, but tell him to clean up. Touch your neighbor, say, you want to be in God's presence, you got to clean up. I ain't saying you got to wear a suit, but if you're in jeans, at least press it. And the Bible says that after 3 days of preparation, God said, I'll meet them on the mountain. And when they showed up, getting ready to see God, the Bible says that God showed up with a voice of thunders and lightning, and the folks said, oh, don't speak to Moses from now on. You don't pray with